Hey there. Welcome back to my channel, Tech Bytes with Ash. I've got a lot of DMs, a lot of queries from my last post around AGI. Today, I want to talk a little bit about what does this really mean, right? What is artificial general intelligence with all that we read around LLMs and foundation models from these big companies like Meta, OpenAI, DeepSeek, Anthropic, and many, many more. And of course, this week, Grok, right? What does this really mean? So I would say that analogy to build there is just to remember how human beings learn. When a child is born, he or she watches his mother and his father and learns some language, remembers what it correlates to. Likewise, a lot of these models are training their computers and their compute power to look for recognition of patterns and then eventually predict in a pattern of languages what comes next. So if you think about it, if anything that you read in this technology, just remember two things, right? One is tokens. So a token is the smallest unit of word. For example, if you say apple, apple is one word, one token. But if you say the word unbelievable, that's like un plus believe plus able. So that's like 3 tokens, right? So just remember what that means. And the second piece is parameters. You'll read a lot about all these models proclaiming and beating their chest on how many parameters they can train, right? So parameters is like a connection of the brain cells in some ways. The key there is that there's all these models that are being trained. For example, Meta AI with LLaMA 4 just recently came out by saying there'll be a mixture of elements, which is a lot of multimodal, which means, again, many things to train, whether it's text, speech, vision, to kind of come out with some output eventually. So all these models are doing the same things. But one difference that I see is a lot of these Chinese models that are coming from companies like Baidu or DeepSeek, etc., they're doing a very lean architecture model. What that means is they're going more vertical than being a generalist or being a horizontal. What that means is, so education, healthcare, other things, they're training their models to be more lean and efficient to predict some outcomes. Whereas some of the US companies are always doing things around making sure that they're doing multimodal, much more generalist, training them for many, many things. And in both cases, there's some pros and cons, right? So there's a lot of things that you can do with multimodal general training that will lead to, answering questions, content creation, etc. But if you want to minimize the compute power and get to results quickly, maybe the lean architectures are the way. It's like in consulting and professional services, we always think of, do you need a generalist or do you need a specialist for certain problem statements? The idea is that when you really begin to solve certain things for your clients, you need both. You need someone who can be very bifocal and you need someone who can be very deep. They call it the T model, right? Being very general and wide, but then being very deep.